Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Second deck. His first major league hit is a home run against the Red Sox. How do you like that? Higashioka, the home run stroker.
Drill deep to left field. That ball is gone. See ya. A home run for Higashioka. And it is now 3-0 Yanks.
I guess it's home run or nothing for Higgy. Talking more about the balance he's looking for.
High drive, left field, going back Santana on the track at the wall. See ya! Home run Higashioka.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Brushback Baseball Podcast. This is episode number 13. And before we start, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of our new subscribers. So thank you guys. We had a pretty good little surge here in the last 48 hours. So thank you guys. Welcome to the channel. And today I'm actually pretty pumped because we have with us somebody who I grew up playing with from about the time I was 11 and all the way through high school and even into some of the off season for college and minor leagues. So this is somebody who I've grown up playing and spent a lot of time on the field with. But with us today is New York Yankees catcher Kyle Higashioka. So welcome, Kyle. Thanks for joining on with us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for coming on your day off too.
Yeah.
Well, leading into that,
a lot of free time.
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of ask you, how are you doing right now? How are you staying mentally ready? What's your take on all this that's going on right now?
I'm doing well. I mean, obviously I have it pretty lucky and pretty easy, relatively speaking. So, I'm pretty comfortable here, able to get all my workouts in, able to hit, throw, lift, everything I need to do. So it's going pretty good. I'm just, trying to be creative with how I'm, able to get everything in.
Yeah. And I guess for position players, it's a lot easier. I mean, we can kind of you could stay a little bit more, you just have to make sure you hit and your arm stays decent and you're in shape. But the pitchers is kind of like where everything becomes kind of a question mark with them and their throwing programs and shutting down. So I guess you're lucky on that end.
Yeah. I'm lucky that, two of my, workout partners came back here as well.
Oh, nice.
So I've been throwing with the one guy who, his name's Gunnar Pullman. He's a catcher for in the Marlins organization. Okay. So I've been throwing with him every single day. 6 feet apart though, at least 6 feet. Yeah.
You're sanitizing the ball in between throws too, right?
Yeah.
No, so you just so everybody's aware, you're out in Oregon right now. And you've lived there for the past 3 years, so that's where you're training out of. Is it the Boss Academy? Is that right?
Boss Sports Performance.
Boss Sports Performance. Okay.
Did you get out of Florida right away as soon as camp broke?
So they announced the that it was the games were going to stop, and then we thought that. Well, they initially announced April 9th possible season start date, so only 2 weeks. So we were like, well, we might as well just stay. And then a couple of days later, then they told us hey, that's not realistic, and we really need to shut it down because we got to get this thing under control. Plus, if one guy there ends up coming down with it, then everyone has to shut down for 2 weeks.
You guys had the two minor league guys, right?
Yeah, and all the minor league guys were quarantined for 2 weeks. So, if that would have happened on the big league side, then it would have kind of defeated the purpose of us staying there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just so crazy because, with all the anticipation, I think this was a pretty cool year for you. This was going to be a pretty cool year for you going into, you were pretty much locked in as the backup, the backup catcher this year. And we're going to break camp with the Yankees. But, it's probably pretty tough because you go into that offseason all really excited and kind of going into the now you're just kind of in limbo.
I mean, to me, I didn't really even think about it that much. I've kind of been preparing the same for the past few years in terms of mentally just thinking that I'm going to at least compete for a job on the team. And so I kind of took the same mindset going into this year, not expecting anything.
Yeah.
Not expecting anything to be like set in stone. So I think it was working well until we stopped.
Well, like you and I talked yesterday, your swing was looking really nice. I mean, you felt really good at the plate, for at least those spring games that you were able to play this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely this spring I was feeling as good at the plate as I ever have. So, I mean, I was seeing the ball well. I walked a couple times, hit for some power. So I was feeling good.
Yeah, you were looking good, man. Talk to me a little bit about, the 9 years that you spent in the minor leagues, and we all know, we talk about it on this show, and it's widely known that the minor leagues is a grind. But can you talk to me just where you kind of, I mean, I'm sure it was a little bit more of a roller coaster ride. I mean, obviously you can touch on it too, but in 2016 looks like you made an adjustment to your swing. Power numbers started surging. So can you just walk me through kind of your minor league experience and what you kind of tweaked and how that helped you kind of get to where you're at right now?
So it was, it was definitely a big learning curve, pretty steep learning curve coming out of high school.
Yeah.
You're playing against like basically adults. As an 18-year-old, you're kind of still like a kid. Like I see kids who just graduated high school. I'm like, this guy is still like a kid.
Well, and we actually I've talked about that on other episodes. I was thinking, looking back when I was 8, when we graduated high school, I was in my mind, I'm like, I want to go play pro ball. I'm ready. But no, looking back, there's no way I was ready. I couldn't have handled that. Like I needed the 3 years at school.
You're still not ready.
I'm still not ready. Yeah. Thank you, David. But no, you obviously you were more mature than I was, so you handled it, I think, a lot better.
No, I mean, the maturity level still was like a huge learning curve. Just trying to, like my first few years, I'll admit I was not very disciplined in terms of nutrition or sleep or working out or consistently getting my cage routine in. Like it was kind of, I was just going, I don't know, I guess I was like going through the motions almost, without a real plan. And then it kind of took a couple bad years and then me being shifted into like a minor league backup role that kind of woke me up and said, like, I need to make a drastic change or else I'm not going to be playing anymore.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, looking back now, was there a moment in your head that you look back at now that was kind of your low point that you build off of that really kind of was that turning point?
Yeah. 2012, I started the first month of the season hurt, and then I hit okay. I think I was hitting like 240 in high A, but like with
I think that's the year I ran into you,
homers.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were in Tampa and I was in Palm Beach.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I was hitting for a little bit of power, but it was like, I don't know. It wasn't great. But then I moved up to AA and totally got my ass handed to me. I went like 0 for my first 20, and then my first hit was like a suicide squeeze that I ended up beating out. And,
with your speed.
Yeah. So that was like, and as soon as I got the hit, like I immediately got sent down. And then when I got sent down, I was in a backup role, backing up Gary, because he had just come up. So then I was like, man, being a minor league backup, like especially with a guy like Gary, I mean, he's such a huge prospect. Like he's playing at least 5-6 days a week. So I was playing like once, maybe twice a week, and I was like, okay, I gotta do something differently. And then, I mean, that was probably the low point. And the next year I was still a backup, but I at least moved to AA, and I was hitting really well at the time. But then I blew out my elbow.
Oh, that's right.
So,
I forgot about that.
I had Tommy John, and I missed like 2 seasons because of that.
I totally forgot about that.
So That was
pretty
like
brutal.
I mean, that I wasn't even. That was just a time of like super uncertainty because I just didn't know if I was going to get back to normal. So I wouldn't consider the TJ my low point. It was more of being really, really bad the previous year. Was like that kind of shifted me into the minor league backup catch, almost like a death sentence.
Yeah. That was like, for me, when I got put on, I became a Phantom guy in AA. And that was my kind of death sentence. I really knew that was probably the end right there. So that was my low point.
Well, yeah, and I was asking that too because, Tyler got put on that Phantom list, and then it kind of just snowballed from there, and he was out. So,
but you handled it completely differently. For me, it was like I kind of caved in as soon as I kind of had that death sentence. I don't think I responded very well, but for you to be able to kind of respond to and say, hey, look, no, I'm gonna change something here to flip this and come out of this. That's pretty cool. And so, would you attribute that more to like that swing change that you did, or can you talk me through a little bit? Like I know that you're very in touch with your swing, and I don't think I was as in touch. So can you just walk me through what you did?
Yeah. So 14, I came back. But I broke my thumb. So that's what that added like 2 more months onto my Tommy John. Cause I was in a rehab game and I broke my thumb.
Oh, brutal.
So I played.
Were you hit by a pitch
at the end of the season? I was catching and like I missed a block and it just like, drilled me in the tip of the thumb for some reason, but that was my fault. But, yeah. So then I played in the fall league and I hit really well. I was only a taxi squad guy in the fall league, but I hit over 400 in like my 26 at bats or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like I can still do it. And then I think Gary Denbo, he's now the farm director for the Marlins, but he was the farm director for us at the time. And he actually gave me another shot at being a starter. At the expense of me going to high A again, which I at the time hated, but that was probably the best thing for me.
Yeah. So
I had a decent year, hit like 250, only like 4 homers, and like my receiving stuff was really good though. Everyone was like, "Oh, great job, great season," but I think there was like a point where I was like, just 250 with no power production is not going to get it done. Like that's not going to get me to the big leagues.
Yeah.
So I kind of just took a leap of faith. Started studying a lot of guys that I like watching, like, Donaldson, Miguel Cabrera, Jose Batista, all the best, like right-handed power hitters that were like medium-sized people.
Yeah.
Cause sometimes like, guy like Stanton, the guy is like Superman. So
seriously,
he's going to do what he does no matter what. But for a guy my size to generate power, like you have to really be, efficient with your movements. So I was kind of looking at those guys and I made some pretty drastic swing changes. And then once I got to spring training, I kind of scaled it back a little bit because I found out I was not timing the ball up very well. And then, so once I kind of made it my own and scaled it back, but still maintained a lot of those swing principles that I did, it was, ended up working out awesome. Mainly like, slight uppercut, hands kind of creating actually a little more length in the back of my swing. Just to create more time in the hitting zone.
Yeah.
Because I was always a steep down, across, and out of the zone guy.
It's so funny how it's almost like flipped from like what you grew up, everything you grew up hearing about a swing,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to break those like natural instincts, or just tendencies.
Yeah, I mean that's what was taught in our organization for a long time when I first signed. So that's what I thought was like, if the pro guys are teaching this, then it has to be true. So then it was like, well, after a while, luckily I was afforded the luxury of time, because, normally I think, if you perform badly for several seasons in a row, they're not going to keep you around. But I guess.
Do you think it had to do with Gary and Romine being ahead of you on the chart, that it kind of gave you a little bit more room and distance to kind of work on yourself too?
Actually, to be honest, there was like a lot of guys ahead of me. It was like, at the time, it was Murphy, Gary. Right. We signed Brian McCann.
Yeah.
There was Romine. There was, other minor league guys that they were signing in AAA to as depth. So it was not just them two. It was basically just, I needed to mature as a hitter. And, luckily I just had that time. I think it was just based on like defensive ability. I've always been kind of sorry, I got a call right there.
Oh,
I've always been pretty solid defender. So
yeah, you were always a nasty, like I remember being on just as with us growing up, and always being able to throw to you was always really nice.
Oh, thank you.
Did you guys ever play together?
Yeah, we grew up on the same travel team from the time we were 11. We played in the Quakes Baseball Academy from the time we were about 11 or 12, and then all the way through high school. And then we would train. He was in the minors, and I was either in college, but then we trained together when we were both in the minors back there with the Quakes for a little bit. Yeah. So, we've played mostly together.
Yeah. Right. I mean, almost 10 years, or like 8 years playing together, and then probably a few years after that training together. So
you're gonna have to go back and look, but I told my mom that you were coming on with us, and she sent me a picture of us from back when we were 12 or 13 at one of the tournaments, Big League Dreams. Yeah. So I'm gonna put that up on the screen when we publish this. So
nice, yeah.
You'll like that.
That's awesome.
I mean, those days are fun though, man. Looking back, and it's pretty crazy just to look back and think, like, I still looking back and think our 12-year-old team was one of the best teams out there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, we kind of hit the jackpot with John. Just like, I don't know if there's any other coach out there, especially at the time, where you could get the kind of like baseball IQ from him every single day, where, we went into high school and we were just mentally advanced beyond, everyone else that we were competing with. So that was huge. Kind of like a blind luck for me. My mom like looked in the newspaper for ads for travel ball teams, and his like was on, the OC register or something.
Yeah. And John Elliott is his name for everyone that's listening. But he, back then when we were young, he was this pretty hard-nosed, pretty, I don't want to say controversial, but he was really upfront and abrasive even with the kids, but it made us tougher. I remember being like kind of scared of him, but it like made me, he knew exactly what he was talking about. And he knew exactly how to prep us for those next levels, for getting us ready for high school, getting us ready for college or pro ball, So yeah, for me, he was another big influence on my baseball career as well. Almost like a second father.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are fun times.
Yeah.
No, let's move on. And well, actually, let's talk about when you were drafted by the Yankees out of high school, 2008, was 7th round. You were committed to go to Berkeley. What was factoring into your decision whether to go to pro ball versus college?
Well, for me, I thought that I was ready. Obviously, I wasn't like completely ready, right, maturity wise, but I thought I was ready. So I was just like, well, if somebody offers a sum of money that's life-changing and that, would be worth it to forgo college. And then also I get my college paid for in addition to that. then it was like, well,
it's a win-win.
I'll sign. I feel like I'm ready. So
did you ever go and take classes in the off season?
Yeah, I've got like 60 credits done.
Nice.
So it's just about 2 years.
Okay. Probably
I'm
about the
kind
same
of
as
waiting
me.
now because I don't want to transfer to like a 4-year before I'm done playing.
Yeah. Well, you were clearly a guy that was, you made the right choice, obviously. And like I said, you were a little more mature than I was, so I think signing was the good choice. All right, let's move on to. I wanted to just walk me through what it was like getting the call finally after grinding all those years in the minors and getting the call that you were going to the big leagues. What was the phone call like? What was when you talked to your parents? Like showing up to the clubhouse. Those are things that you dream of as a kid. What was it like for you?
It was pretty insane. We were in Buffalo at the time, and one of my good friends, Mark Trumbo, he was with the Orioles at the time. I trained with him in the off season for like 5 years, but his wife texted my wife and was like, "Hey, Gary just came out of the game. Like, I think he might have got hurt or something." And at the time, I was on the roster. I was the only other catcher, so you kind of assume like that's the time you're going
packing
up.
your bags.
And so I got like really nervous, and then I got a phone call from my manager at the time. He's like, "Hey, you need to pack all your stuff up because you're going to Baltimore." And so I was like super nervous now, and food came out. I don't even think I touched a single bite. Like we just paid and left. I left a nice tip. Good. Yeah. But it was pretty nuts, kind of a whirlwind. I called my parents, called my in-laws, and we actually drove from Buffalo to Baltimore because we would have had to take some weird
flight,
5 a.m. flight that would maybe get us there before game time because it was a day game. So, but the cool thing was when I got to Baltimore, Mark was there, able to kind of like greet me and congratulate me during batting practice. So that was pretty cool. Because he was like one of my biggest kind of supporters through the few years I was like trying to make my way through the minors, and I could tell he really had my back during that time. So it was cool to have him there.
I was going to bring him up because
cool.
I remember when you and I were training together, just at John's or just throwing and hitting every now and again. You were I think at that time you were playing. I was going to get into your guitar, but I remember you were actually I remember seeing video or pictures of you up on stage with Trumbo playing the guitar. So I was going to bring him up later, but that's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. We played guitar together too, so we became pretty close.
That's awesome, man. You shred.
Awesome.
You picked it up quickly though, because you started only not that long. You haven't been playing for that long, but you're pretty unreal.
Well, I've been playing since 2009.
Oh, okay. I thought it was less time than that.
My first spring training, I picked up a guitar. I was going to extended, so it was like, I had a lot of free time.
Yeah.
Nobody likes extended spring.
Yeah. How many years were you in extended?
Only once.
Only one? Okay, nice.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough place to be.
Yeah. Okay, so that getting back to your debut, could you walk me through what it was like getting to the clubhouse and everything, like after you arrive.
It was crazy. Just like being there, and especially like the media too. They'd see me for I had already gone to 7 or 8 major league spring trainings, or 6 or 7 probably, and they're all like, "Hey, great to see you," congratulating me, and it was kind of like a world. I almost don't even remember what it was like walking in the clubhouse for the first time, because it's kind of like a blur to me now.
Yeah. And Joe, was Joe Girardi the manager?
It was
or was
Girardi.
it?
Yeah, Girardi.
Okay, that's pretty cool, and him being a catcher too, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Yeah, it was cool. So when we got back home, I actually was going to pinch hit against Baltimore late in the game. But Judge ended up hitting like a 3-run homer to tie the game. And that was like the only scenario where I wouldn't pinch hit. So
thanks,
that was
Judge.
good though. That was good. Yeah. We won that game, so it was good. But the home opener, he had me catch the 9th inning.
I remember
that
by
like 5, just to get my feet wet for my debut. And then the next game or the next day, I was catching Montgomery, who was making his debut.
Yeah, he's a SoCal guy.
No, that was Jordan Montgomery.
Oh, I'm thinking of the guy from Hart High School.
Mike Montgomery.
He did play with the Yankees, though, right?
No.
Okay, never mind. Too many
We
Montgomerys.
played with him, though.
Yeah, we did.
I kind of want to hear about that first home run, though. Oh, you first hit, actually, too.
Well, it was like some crazy. I had a crazy streak going on of hitlessness, and it was turning into kind of a thing where every time I was in the lineup, people were just coming up to me saying like, "Oh, today's the day! Like you're gonna do it. I know it. I got a feeling." I was almost like, I'd maybe rather not hear that because it just keeps reminding me that I've like never gotten a hit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Romine got kind of banged up one game, and so I was starting a stretch of like 5 games in a row, but I wasn't even supposed to play against Boston that series, and Price was starting, so I was like, all right, at least it's a lefty. And then first at bat I struck out. I can't even remember what pitch it was on. I think it might have been a cutter, fastball, something like that. But next at bat, I got another 2-strike count, and I was like, all right. And then, we kind of knew that, backdooring the cutter was like a thing he liked to do.
Yeah.
And so he tried and missed the first 0-2 pitch. And then so it was 1-2, and he tried the same thing, but just pulled it like down and in. And I kind of had a feeling that like if I just could connect with the ball, it was going to be a homer for sure. Because I had so much adrenaline going that like I was going to just obliterate something if I could barrel it. And sure enough, it was like came off the bat really nicely. Didn't hook foul, so that was good.
Yeah, I saw it came off at 106 miles an hour too. That was some decent speed coming off too, with it.
It was a built-up aggression.
You went on kind of a streak because then you hit didn't you hit like 3 within like a pretty short amount of time right after you hit that first one?
Yeah, I went 0 for the next game, but then the next 2 games after that, I hit a home run in each of those games.
Yeah.
So
was this the same year though? I also watched. I can't remember what year it was, but you have to walk me through it because I've never had this happen to me, and I think it would be one of the most deflating things that could happen. But getting a home run robbed. I can't remember who it was, but I remember seeing it. I was watching it live. You crushed one to like left center, and the center fielder went and robbed.
Oh yeah.
Who was that?
Against the White Sox. Adam Engel.
Okay.
Yeah. He had robbed one the night before off Greg Bird.
Oh.
So it was like
back to back.
Crazy because it was all he was doing against us was just robbing home runs.
God, that must be like the most deflating thing because I don't know. I never had that happen to me.
Well, it's just like, especially in the big leagues,
yeah.
you're like just clawing for every single hit you can get,
right.
And then for a home run to be taken away, you're just like, oh my
god. I love the way Tyler framed that too, because like his always cleared the fence by like 40 feet.
Yeah,
he just said
yeah, exactly. I don't hit wall scrapers.
Yeah,
that's right. Thank you, David.
No problem. Well, let's be honest though. You brought him here on false pretenses, so he should know that he's coming. Tyler's coming back. He really brought you back because he's coming back to the major leagues as a pitcher.
And I need a catcher.
And he needs a catcher. So he.
But you might need. Hey, no.
This is really your interview.
Yeah, we need to segment this in because this is kind of an interview. But you're gonna need to get a new glove because I throw a nasty knuckleball, and that's what I'm coming back
geez.
as.
We had the Josh Tolley in our.
Oh, that's right. He caught
spring,
Dickey, huh?
Who's like knuckleball catcher specialist.
Have you seen what are those gloves like? Where do you get one? Like, it looks like a
It's
first
like
baseman glove, but
it's like a softball. I don't know if it's a softball first baseman's glove or if it's a softball catcher's mitt, but it's a softball glove.
All right, well, you need to get one because I'm coming to the. I mean, I couldn't make it as a position player, so I figured we got to give my knuckleball a shot.
Yeah,
Wait, I think he's kidding too. We had an agent on 2 episodes ago, so he's got signed up.
Got representation.
nice.
Yeah, last episode was player development guy from a good AL organization, so he's got a team going now. He just needs a catcher.
Yeah,
nice.
and I need somebody to throw to. Like, you can hit off of it, but I need to throw to a batter. So
I have a good record against knuckleballers.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where did you face? How many guys have you faced?
Well, last year in AAA, the first guy I faced, I hit. I think I was 3 for 3 with a single and 2 homers, including a grand slam. That
Wow.
Tebow almost robbed.
The what?
Tim Tebow almost robbed it. Yeah.
Okay. What was do you remember the guy's name?
I think it was Janice.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of him.
But I think you might have faced him.
Really?
Because I think I faced him in like 12 or something. Maybe it was 15.
So he was with the Mets?
I've been in high so long that he was.
That was where my career just tanked. So even if that was where the Florida State League got me, dude.
Yeah, I spent like 4 years there. That was tough.
I don't know how, man. I was killing it in low A. They called me up to high A, and that first series was in Port Charlotte. And you know how, I don't know, that every field there seems to be a graveyard. And like left center in Port Charlotte, it's like super deep. I was hit. Farnsworth was making a rehab start, and that was my first at bat there. And I absolutely crushed one, like just absolutely smoked it as hard as I could, as far as ball I could. Guy's going in left center, walks back, and then camps right under it at the track, and I'm like, oh, like, dang.
Yeah, that is a tough league to hit in.
Yeah, I just that one wore on me and got me mentally too. So I think that was more of my downfall. But no, I'm kind of serious about the knuckleball thing.
I think I remember you throwing a pretty good one.
See, everybody that comes on here that I know, they're always like, "Yeah, you had a pretty good one."
Yeah.
Thanks, Kyle. He approves.
He's just got to tell his wife.
Yeah, I haven't told my wife yet. It's all right. That's all right. But
it's funny. We've been talking about it for like 4 or 5 episodes, and his wife still hasn't brought it up. So obviously, she doesn't listen to this podcast at all.
She's not listening.
Actually, she did bring it up. Kind of, but she was like, kind of like laughed it off, like, yeah, you just keep talking about how you're gonna make a comeback. She's kind of like just brushing it off. So I still got some work to do. But all right, Kyle, let's get back. I want to hear what it was like meeting some of the Yankee greats, because I grew up a Jeter fan, and I've heard your story. I think it was with John Boy or something on when they had you on their show. You talked about your time when Jeter kind of went out of his way to talk to you and sit down with you. So you talked about, and maybe some other guys like Jorge Posada. The list of Yankee greats go on, and some of the guys that you've been able to kind of talk to, I'm interested in.
Yeah, my first major league camp was with A-Rod, Teixeira, Jeter, Robinson, Cano, Posada, Mariano. I think Pettit, he might not have been there. But, no, he was there. So it was like just a legend team, which was also a little disturbing because I was like, how am I going to make it to the big leagues? Like, these guys are all superstars.
Yeah. We grew up in that 90s era. We were kids, but watching the Yankees and kind of dominate during the mid to late 90s was, and the early 2000s was kind of like right when the prime for us as kids,
Yeah. So I kind of had a lucky experience where I got to meet all those guys, and to be honest, they were all good dudes. I mean, I worked with Posada a lot, being a catcher.
Yeah.
Great guy. Kind of took us all under his wing.
What was the nickname you guys have for all the catchers in the Yankees organization a few years ago? Wasn't there?
It was the Lobos Locos.
Lobos Locos.
Crazy Wolves.
Yeah. So Posada kind of watched over you every time he was there.
Yeah.
The Lobos Locos.
That was pre Lobos Locos.
Okay.
Yeah, but so yeah, he was good with us. I caught Mariano in a game one time.
What's that cutter?
So like? that was pretty cool. The cutter is unbelievable. The first bat of the game was a lefty, and obviously we're going first pitch cutter in, up and in. And this pitch was probably like a foot off the plate inside, or ended up a foot off the plate. Started on the corner, and the kid swung, and our third baseman was in because it was, leadoff hitter protecting against a bunt. And the kid hit a pop-up that went probably no more than 20 feet in the air and landed over the third baseman's head, but didn't reach the outfield grass. And he got a single on it. And Mariano's just standing on the mound, just laughing his ass off.
Yeah. What is it about that cutter? I guys know it's coming. They can't hit it.
Yeah. Well, I would say to this day, he has the best command of any pitcher I've ever caught.
Yeah.
Like bullpens with him was nice. You could catch with your eyes closed. But in the game, it was like super late movement, 4-seam fastball spin. You obviously knew the cutter was coming, but you definitely couldn't distinguish the spin from just a regular fastball. But the thing moved like probably 6 to 8 inches.
Wow. And
just super late.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's one of the best of all time. And
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy just because, big league hitters are so, most of the time, it's coming, you can, you're going to have a lot of success. We won't go down the other road. That's enough. We talked about that enough on the other episodes. But, for guys to really know that a cutter, or be able to sit on a cutter a lot of times and not be able to, to do anything with it, is impressive. So that's really cool. You got to catch him. I wanted to move on to your training you moved to Oregon, a few years ago after. Is your wife from Oregon?
No, she's from Huntington Beach.
Oh, okay.
We both went to Edison.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We just didn't start dating till later.
Gotcha. But you said your in-laws have a place up there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you told me you're about 4 or 5 hours away from the coast. How are you handling without being able to surf? Because I know you're a surfer.
One of the sacrifices I made.
You have the sacrifice during the season.
Yeah. So I don't think it wasn't a big deal. Once I got up here, I was like, I love it up here, so it's great. Yeah. But once I came to terms with it, it was like, it's not so bad.
Well, it's beautiful up there.
I'll like go back every now and then and try to surf like one time, and it'll be like so hard to paddle out that I'm like, I don't like surfing that much.
Dude, anyways. That's always the thing, is getting back into surfing. You're not in paddle shape, and then you're super sore the next day.
Well, for me, because I always, I try to. The longboard's just like too hard to transport, so. I always just want to go on my shortboard.
Yeah.
And so I go on the shortboard and I don't even make it out to the break. And I'm like, oh, well, that was a waste.
That was a waste. Yeah. And then you're totally demoralized on the beach after paddling back.
I just stand on the sandbar, inside the break, and just watch people surf.
Watch other people have
fun.
It's
really depressing. Yes. It's just,
I will say that
I'm like, all right, I don't need it.
There is a thing. I always surfed throughout, whenever, even when the minor leagues, everything. I always thought it helped my arm strength, the paddling. I don't know, if it has anything to do. I don't know if you felt that way, but the more I paddled, the stronger my arm felt.
Yeah, I felt like that too. My arm felt really good. I only really surfed pre Tommy John.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And like a little bit afterwards, but by that time I was like
You're probably pretty cautious after that.
and like we were about to move up to Oregon, so it was like not so much cautious, but like just less time. And then my surf buddy kind of moved up to Northern California, so I didn't have anybody that was like on my schedule to go with all the time.
Yeah. Well, you have a surf buddy on your off days in New York. I know you have one, and that's Garrett.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Garrett.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, Garrett. I don't think he doesn't surf much anymore, but he's a pretty good surfer.
Really?
Yeah. He and I lived
That's
in
cool.
Newport together. One of the off seasons, and yeah, we'd surf almost every morning. So
that's sick.
Yeah, you'll have to ask him to go out with you on the off day. You guys can go hit up. I can't remember the beach over in New York or New Jersey, but they get some good waves.
Yeah, I think they have a competition over on Long Island.
Yeah. So
It's like Long Beach.
Yeah.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't know. I've never been there, so you're probably right.
Yeah.
Now let's we'll bring it back to baseball. Maybe kind of just wrapping it up. And I know, David, I'll let you if you have any other questions too. But I kind of wanted to I know I mentioned that we have a lot of younger players in the high school, college ranks, and what kind of advice do you have for them with just in terms of mentality, dealing with failure, and anything you've kind of learned in getting to the big leagues?
Well, I would say the biggest thing for me is if you're like a young player coming up, first of all, you got to know yourself, be a good and honest self-evaluator, because, it doesn't help if you're like complaining about your playing time, but then, your numbers stink. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But secondly, it's like, if you're trying to develop, I say, listen to all your coaches and show them the utmost respect. But if they can't explain to you exactly why you should be doing something, then you might, you maybe shouldn't be doing it. So, I just say always, show respect, but just make sure that you have a reason for doing every single thing you're doing. And if you think that, if you disagree with your coach on something and you think you should do it a different way, you just need to, trust yourself. And, obviously the honest self-evaluation comes back to that, where, you have to have a reason why you're believing this certain thing and disagreeing with your coach, who, maybe or maybe not knows more than you, but, just trust yourself and always make sure that, if you're doing something, you know exactly why you're doing it.
It's good stuff, man. Appreciate everybody listen up to Kyle.
That's good for anything in life, really. You got a career as a guru after baseball's over.
A guru advice giving.
Like the Gary Vee of baseball. I guess one of the things I was more curious about was technology and baseball, and where that line is in baseball has been a big topic this last offseason. But from your catching standpoint and how you handle a pitching staff, how has that changed, let's say, over the last 5 years, 6 years, with just how much technology there is? We have a lot of things available to evaluate pitchers with and all that stuff. Old school, pitch calling is more like every fastball down and away, or, come in to show, make sure we keep the breaking ball down, whatever. But it's kind of shifted a lot to where, you see guys with certain characteristics on their fastball, like super high spin rate, like Chad Green, where, he kind of wants to work up in the zone, because the super high spin rate combined with top of the zone fastball equals a ton of swing and misses. So there's a lot more pitches up in the zone happening, and we can kind of narrow down
who needs to do that and who doesn't need to do that based on different pitch characteristics that they have that TrackMan can measure, like spin rate, break, all that stuff.
And on the flip side, as a hitter, how much time are you preparing using all the technology and doing, obviously you're going to do your video work on what pitchers have, where their tendencies are and anything, but what's your prep time like? How much do you use it?
I use it a lot. I use it a little more on the pitching side, the pitch calling side, because there's just more guys to study.
Yeah.
But I think actually this year I've made a conscious effort to I'm going to nail down every single starter and reliever, and just be because usually when a reliever comes in, a lot of them are pretty similar. It's okay, this guy throws 95 and he's got a good slider. But
yeah.
And that's fine, especially in AAA or whatever. But in the big leagues, I think it's just, you got to put that little bit of extra work in to be successful, because you're playing against the best guys. So I'm definitely going to put a lot more effort into studying a lot more of the relievers, because you only get one at bat against them usually. So you got to make it count.
Yeah. David, you got anything else?
No, from where you guys stand now, I saw that MLB and the Players Union kind of came to terms last day or so on general stuff. They had some conditions where they wouldn't start the season until travel restrictions were off and everybody was cleared to go. So from where you are now, what's your mentality right now? Any idea, what the club is kind of giving you as guidance as to?
Well, just other than the stuff that's been released, there hasn't really been much other guidance from anyone. Just we're trying to. I think we all kind of know that, it's definitely not going to be in April that we start back up, and then so we're kind of preparing for multiple weeks here on our own. And then, they're going to give us a 3-week or whatever spring training to start back up again. But, I'm just glad, the union and the owners could come together, make a deal, which seems pretty fair for everyone involved. So
I read that there were going to be double headers galore. So that's almost going to put you into a lot more games than you might otherwise would have this year.
That might benefit me.
That is true. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. For me, I didn't love double headers. They were, as a position player, they always killed me.
Yeah, as a position player, you're stuck playing both. Yeah. But as a catcher, it's especially in the minors, 7-inning double headers. Yeah. You're just I got an easy day today. It's just 7 innings.
Yep. Hey, man. Well, we really appreciate you come on and taking the time. And we really hope to see you hopefully out on the field sometime soon. Hopefully in the next couple months. So we'll be watching, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks.
Cool.